welcome back to the channel. So today we're doing a quick course recce, part of the course for the Essar Chester Half Marathon 2025. The course stays fairly consistent, doesn't really change very much. So yeah, I'm going to be recceing from about the 6k mark up to the 16k mark, give or take. I'm obviously pacing the half marathon this year. I'm doing the 2:10 pace alongside Steve. There's loads of pace groups, but yeah, regardless of your pace, of your ambitions, of how fast you can run it, the course will remain the same. So today I'm going to be doing a few bits of the recce parts of the course, some training tips and some bits of advice for the race day itself. Let's get on with the run. Let's get on with the video. Come down to the kind of 6k point. This is where you fork off from the main road. The first half is similar-ish to the 10k. If you've run the Chester 10k prior to this, it's a similar, but obviously I'll cut back to my race day footage from 2023. You start off in the race course, you head out on a slightly different route than the 10k. You go through more the city centre, past the clock tower, past the cathedral, and you head out of Chester. Obviously that bit's not all closed off, it's obviously the roads are still open, as you can see. So I've kind of not done that bit. I'll cut back to some footage now of that first part of the race from, that's in my race day from a couple of years ago. And now the 6k point, and from now on I'm going to kind of do a bit of a course recce. This is the more countryside bit, country roads, a bit quieter. I'm able to run and talk and do a bit of the course recce for this part. And obviously the last bit is again back down into Chester, which again I won't cover, but again I'll cut some footage later on in the video. But yeah, I'll carry on with the my run now, and I'll head out now as the course continues. So this is the 6k point, and we're going to head out into the countryside. Yeah, so this point you've just gone past 25%, quarter of the way. And actually you come out of the city centre bit, and this is the kind of middle section of the race. More countryside, more rural, pockets of crowds. Well, people will come out in these little villages and kind of hamlets. You run through the villages of Mollington, which we're going through kind of now, and then up into Lear by Backford. So there'll be little pockets of support. Marshall's obviously on most of the corners, so there's still people out here, but it is a bit quieter and a bit more scenic as we head out. So yeah, the start of the race, there's a few ups and downs. Chester is technically on a hill, so you've got to get up to the top of Chester, through the city centre, and then you come back down. Yeah, this middle section from, let's say, 6 to 16 is pretty flat. There's hardly any ups and downs. There's one coming up now, a little up and down, but other than that, like I say, it's flat, it's scenic, and like I say, generally a pretty nice part of the course. As I do, is quieter parts, so again, you can be quite lonely if you're not in a group, but if you stick with a group, this middle section, knuckle down and stick to your rhythm, and half the race will be gone before you know it. This is the up and down I was talking about. So behind me there, you've just gone over the railway bridge, we dip down a little bit, and then we've got this little tiny kind of uphill again, back up to Lear, the top end of Lear, top of a massive hill, but we don't go down the massive hill. We hang a left in a second into Demminge Lane, and we head further out into the country. So as we're cruising along, a couple of training tips. And obviously these depend on your goals on the day, your ambitions. Obviously everyone's slightly different in terms of abilities, but for most of us, unless you're that really elite runner running in the 60-70 minute mark, for the rest of us, the half marathon is an aerobic event, so important training is base building. So get out and do some easy runs, conversational pace. That's similar to what I'm doing now. Pace you can hold for a sustained period of time, because again, for most of us it's going to take 90 minutes, 1 hour 45, 2 hours, 2 hours 30, 3 hours, etc. to cover that distance. So you want to get some nice easy pace runs and get that aerobic base built. That can only be done when you're working aerobically, i.e. slower than anaerobic pace when you're running out of breath. So you've got to ease off and do a lot of easy running. And yeah, tip 2 would be to start increasing that length of that run as well, of your running. So get a couple of those longer runs in, at least 10 miles, 16k plus. Like I say, a half marathon is no mean feat. People would struggle if they just rocked up without any serious kind of training. So get some easy running done, build that base, and then you start upping your distances of your long runs. past the 10k mark, past the 15k mark, and start to go like say 10 miles plus, 16k plus, and start to build up that endurance and leg strength. And one final point on training, there are 2 actual organised training runs still to go before race day itself, organised by the team down at Active Leisure Events. I'll be down there, I'm usually down there pacing one of the training groups. But yeah, 13th of April, Sunday, 10 o'clock start, and the 4th of May, which is a couple of weeks before race day itself. Again, 10 o'clock start, I believe. All details on screen. Meet at the Little Rudy car park, paid parking, but again, other options available nearby. But yeah, the couple of last training runs available, and then the slightly longer ones, I think it's 10, 11 miles, and then maybe a 12 mile in the May one. So we're getting to the longer distances now, so good to get down to. You'll be running with other runners, probably running the races, and just other like-minded people trying to improve their running. Okay, so we're coming up to the second kind of big landmark of the half marathon, if you're going to chunk it into like 5Ks. At this point now, as you're coming down Coal Pit Lane, is the 10k point. Just after the 10k point, we turn left onto Townfield Lane, which is what I'm on now, and this is probably the most, well, it's not probably, it's definitely the most rural part. It's a single track, farmers' fields either side. It can be often be the quietest part. There's not many spectators out this far, a couple of marshals. It can often be muddy if the farmer's been active in the fields in the previous couple of days. But yeah, it's also the most scenic part. Obviously you've got scenery, countryside, like I say, no traffic. At this point, you're out, say, into the sticks a little bit, but quite a nice part of the course. In terms of half marathon advice, what advice would I give to anyone running a half marathon, regardless of pace or ability? My first tip would be obviously enjoy it. I think a lot of these days people put too much pressure on themselves, too many goal ambitions, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to have a goal, good to challenge yourself, but at the end of the day you have to enjoy it. So first and foremost, try and enjoy the race itself. You've done all the hard work, get out, enjoy the crowds, enjoy the other runners, just as I say, enjoy the experience as a whole. My next bit of advice would be the most commonly given piece of advice to anyone running any race, but it's also the information and advice that is least adhered to and ignored, and that would be don't set off too fast. So again, it's common, excitement, adrenaline, race day buzz, the crowds of the race, and you get pulled along at a much too quick pace regardless of your ability, and end up paying for it in the second half. 5Ks, 10Ks you can maybe hold on and survive a little bit. Half marathons and marathons less so. So for the half marathon, make sure you set off at a reasonable pace, in terms of comfortable for yourself and the plan you have in your head. Use the paces if they're of benefit, if you're running a similar pace, or even keep one visually in your eye line if you're running slightly off the pace kind of goals of the 10-minute blocks. If you're running within that, again, use them as a visual aid. They will keep a consistent pace, myself included, and you've got at least one less thing to worry about. Utilise the paces and they'll keep you on a consistent, steady pace throughout. My next bit of advice for the half marathon would be to chunk it. It is quite a long distance, especially if you're kind of new to it or you've not run it all often. It can seem quite a daunting longer distance, and it kind of is. Not to be sniffed at. Anyone completing a half marathon is an achievement in itself. So yeah, I like to chunk it mentally, psychologically. You can break it up into smaller chunks and just worry about each chunk in turn. Obviously do whatever suits yourself. I like to do I'm running Ks and I like to do 5k chunks, so yeah, you can do whatever chunks would suit. I run in Ks and my preference would be to say chunk into 4 5k segments. First 5k, get that boxed off. Second 5k, third 5k, 4th 5k, and then you've got just over a k to finish the race, where you can maybe kick if you've got anything left. And yeah, you chunk it, and that first 5k should be a bit of a warm-up. Second 5k should be getting into your rhythm. Third 5k you start to work a little bit, and then you're in a good position for that last 5. You've not blown up, and you can kick on a little bit and try and finish strong. Yeah, if you're running miles, obviously do the same for roughly 3 mile blocks. Do 4 3-mile blocks with a mile or so to finish. Like I say, psychologically it just helps to not worry about the whole 20k, the whole 30 miles in one go, and you can kind of, like I say, compartmentalise each part of the race, quarter of the race, etc., and just worry about that little section you're in. And my final race day tip would be run to the conditions. I've made this mistake in the past. If it's windy or it's hot, don't be dragged on by your ego. Adjust your goals, adjust for the conditions, and run appropriately, and vice versa. If it's perfect conditions, maybe you can go a little bit quicker than you maybe expected, but again, listen to the body. But yeah, run to the conditions, take on any nutrition and water available to you, and like I say, go back to the first point, make sure you enjoy the race. We just took another right turn there, and yeah, this is about the 12k, give or take, 12k, what's that, 8 mile mark, and we're out onto Overwood Lane, and this is kind of the end of the rural bit. We're going back onto the main road, which again, as I mentioned earlier, on race day will be closed. Today obviously isn't race day, and therefore it isn't closed, so I'm going to be running down the pavement, but I'll get a bit of footage. But yeah, this is where we head up towards Sorgle, and then that's the furthest point out. We then set to do that loop back and head back home. Next kind of checkpoint, you come off the main road, you turn that left turn down Long Lane, heading towards the top of Sorgle Village, and then as you get to the playground you do another left, and I'm now on Fiddler's Lane. This is around the 15k, kind of 9-ish miles, maybe just beyond kind of mark, and yeah, it's a nice gradual, very slight downhill back down to that main road. This is kind of the triangle bit at the top of the course. Loop back, and now we're heading home for the first time. On the course we're now heading back towards Chester, which again psychologically is a big boost, and I think around this kind of distance, 15-16k, is when you can start to think about if you've got any real goal times, how you want for it, do you need to speed up, or yeah, it was around this point in 2023 when I ran my Chester Half Marathon is when I decided I wanted to try and think about kicking on. As it happened on the day, I didn't kick on, I just maintained the same kind of pace I'd held for the previous 15k. But again, if I was to give a little bit of advice for those that have got real goals in mind and want to finish strong, probably around this point was when you'd start thinking about that extra kick, maybe picking up a gear on the home stretch before you hit Chester, and then obviously finish strong. So yeah, 15k, 9 miles give or take. There's a gradual downhill now, all down Fiddlers, and then you come out and again you're against the traffic. Then people would likely still be coming out on their course when you're on the home straight. A few ups and downs, and then a couple of ups back into Chester. But at this point, 15k coming towards 16k, if you're feeling okay and you're able to, now would be the point to start winding up a little bit. And there we are, back where we started. I've just turned off if you've run the 10k, you'll recognise this bit. This is the water station at about the 5k point in the 10k. So we're back where we started. We're going to head back down to the start point. But yeah, that's a quick course Recce. You would then obviously stay on the main road. You don't turn on this in the half marathon. We came from this direction on the way out, like earlier in the video. And yeah, you basically just head back now. You head straight back down to Chester, similar to the end of the 10k, similar type of route back, but you cut the corner. It's not quite as long as the end of the 10k route. And yeah, you finish near the cathedral, so again, slightly shorter finishing point. But yeah, hopefully that's been useful. A couple of tips, course Recce, a bit of advice, etc. So yeah, all the best. If you are running the Essar Chester Half Marathon this year in 2025, I will see you on the start line. I'll be down there. If you see me, feel free to come over, grab me, see any of the pacers or any of the volunteers, come and say hello. As always, all the best with your training and running. Good luck with your race. Happy running. And yeah, the mini-series will continue. I'll do some other bits, top workouts for a half marathon, and a few other bits of advice on the lead up to race day itself. But yeah, all the best. See you on the next one.